it's a vibe. I know the juice poured up, and I know it's a vibe. Like rolling with a man, I'm a vibe. Don't know, yeah. Don't know, yeah. Don't know, yeah. Don't know, it's a vibe. Don't know, it's a vibe. Don't know, yeah. Don't know, it's a vibe. Don't know, the juice poured up, and I know it's a vibe. Like rolling with a man, I'm a vibe.
Good evening, Spurs fans, near and far. You can see by Arthur's background that we, the panelists tonight, are very much in the Christmas spirit. Welcome to the Blueprint episode 2, where Arthur, Zeus, unfortunately Kieran couldn't make it, and myself have some questions to answer, and also going to be breaking down the last 4 matches. But before I do that, it's customary on this show just to check in with my guys, my boys. How are you doing? And I'm going to start with you, Zeus. How are you doing out there in the freezing snow, cold, in the 6? Yes, in the 6, sorry.
Yeah, things are really freezing up, I guess, if that's a phrase, in Toronto. Excited for the Christmas running and like the tons of games that the Premier League has. So yeah, let's get it.
Big up to you, my bro. Big up. And Arthur in the building, looking confident, chest pumped. How are you, Arthur, my bro?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm looking forward to the Christmas games. I think the Newcastle match kind of put us in a bit of a better mood, a bit more positive.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I don't know if you guys would be looking forward if this had been the other way around in terms of results. But hey, just in case any of us got hit on the head and didn't remember what we said in the last show, I've got some snippets of the last show in terms of predictions. But before I do that, big up to everyone in the building, Ghost, the Assembled, everyone that's tuned in. Welcome. Yes, we're about to break it down. So I'm just going to play some of our predictions, and then we're going to talk about this. Is that all right? Yeah, so I'm just going to get it up now, and I'm going to just play it. How many points do you think we can realistically achieve to stay in and
I would be over the moon if we got 9 points out of that, right? Over the moon, okay? I'm not thinking if we can get 7 points, 2 wins and a draw. So I'm going to go for 7 points because I'm positive.
So I've written that down. So Arthur is going for 7 points for Spurs. Mate, if we get 7 points, you are a legend.
7 points. I think everything Arthur said, it makes sense. I'd do 7 points, so it's to be boring.
3. I would be happy with 4 points from that run. So happy with 4 points. The 7, I guess that's what you guys are saying. You're saying the West Ham game. But 4 is like, okay, with all the injuries and with the threadbare squad that we have, I'll be happy with that.
Mate, I would say if we get 7 points or 9 points, then Arthur, Kieran, you guys are legends. I'm actually going to do a first on this channel tonight and actually go one. I'm Mr. Optimistic when it comes to all things Spurs, but I cannot see anything but 3 points.
Love that.
Yeah, I had to do that, Arthur and Zeus.
Love it.
Zeus, you're in the lead because you were absolutely on the money in terms of points, 4 points. So, Arthur, I'm going to have to go with you first since you gave the first prediction.
Yeah.
Now, with the benefit of hindsight, we only achieved 4 points. What was your take on those 4 games?
I think like most people have said, the performances and the domination that we had in most of the games for large periods could quite easily have returned more points. I think the Aston Villa game in particular was insane. The first 25, 30 minutes were insane. We were playing like champagne football. And it just felt like everyone in the stadium, and seemingly the players as well, felt like it was just going to be how many we're going to score. But that just shows where we're at. On top of having like a threadbare team and so many injuries and suspensions, we've also just got a young team that are at the beginning of playing Ange ball. Many of them are fringe players, you know, or weren't expecting to have as many minutes as they have, or playing out of position. And so, like, I felt that the West Ham game could have gone either way, and we just bottled it. So I don't think we were that far away from getting those 7 points. I don't feel like I was worried about any performance. The only performance I've been worried about this season, the whole season in the league, is against Wolves.
Yeah.
That was like, it felt like that was the only performance where like, okay, I can't really see what we're doing here. I can't see what we're trying to do, what risks we're taking. I mean, you know, we can go back to the Man City game, which was incredible, really, when you think about it. And Bissouma, everyone got on Bissouma's back because he gave that ball away or turned into danger. But he was just doing what we carried on doing throughout those games, which was taking risks. And sometimes it came off and sometimes it didn't. And the more we do it, the more it will just come off. And I feel like that's what happened in the Newcastle game. So it feels like we've gone through a bit of a bump of like identity, or what are we doing, or trusting the players that are filling in. But I think that Newcastle game was a product of our endeavour. We deserved that victory. That wasn't lucky. We could have got more. We were fully deserving of it. And that's really reassuring. You know, so I'm quite positive.
Fair. I think that's a fair assessment. Zeus, you were bang on the money in terms of your points. You weren't as optimistic as Arthur. Did the events play out as you thought? I mean, I asked you that because you know you had some sort of crystal ball in terms of points.
Yes, savant.
Maybe, and also with the games as well. Were those the games?
Not at all. Like to pick up a point against City in the way we did not see that happening at all. That was a definite loss. So, yeah, I mean, I was just the way. Okay, the reason why I said 4 because I thought we were going to struggle. Of course, all the injuries, but all these games were winnable. Like, and it just goes to show how good Postecoglou is as a manager, right? Like, he always talks about how, you know, okay, I lost Kane, there's injuries, all that stuff, but he never ever like gives an excuse as to why that's the reason why the performance was bad. There are other things that he's like, we can work on this, we can work on that. So just what you want in a manager, like someone that is adaptable. And even when you're doing well, he still knows that there's a ton of things that you can fix. So just a great running. The Wolves performance, that was the first game, I think, after Chelsea. So maybe it took a while to adjust. But even with that, we were up until the last 10 minutes of the game and all that kind of stuff. But the Villa game, I mean, we should have won that game. Like they have someone like Watkins and, you know, has one chance, puts in the back of the net. So that's just the personnel that they have. But if we were taking the chances, we could have blown them out of the water.
Yeah.
City, okay, that's incredible. Like the fact that we could come back, never say die attitude. Like
Emerson Royale centre back as well for that game.
Like, I mean, this is like ragtag, you know, just throwing a bunch of players, and we're competitive in every single one of these games. We're not even the ones we lost. It's not by a 2-goal margin. It's like 1-0. The West Ham game, like the way David Moyes was celebrating was so irritating. Like it was I guess it was a defensive masterclass, but man, their goals, a double ricochet off Spurs defenders to land perfectly for Bowen, and then the second one like a direct mistake from Udogie or whatever, and then they go and get smashed 5-0 by that's West Ham, like they lost 5-0 to Fulham, like that's, you know, like, so just
they literally 5-0 to us, to be fair. Sorry,
they put everything into us. They always put everything into us. They always lose their matches after they've played us because that's our cup final.
Yeah, I know. I did say it's kind of like the bogey team kind of thing, but it was just they're not good. They're not like West. You know what I mean? Like so incredible. Newcastle. I mean, there's a chance that some of that was that they're pretty tired and fatigued as well. But the problem of like who's going to replace Maddison, it's been solved based on the evidence of that game. It's been solved as to how we're going to line up for like the rest of the Christmas season.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, some of that has to do with like personnel with Richarlison coming back and being able to play at the 9. and Son going on the left. But that's it. Like that was what I think Anne's been looking for, and he solved it. And it just goes to show like this guy is the real deal, right? Like you look at someone like Ten Hag, like last season decent, but this season like he doesn't. They've had injury. Some United fans tell me, "Oh, we've had injuries as well," but your manager should be able to solve, right? Yeah, they're not as bad as ours too. Your manager should be able to at least think of ways to change things and have some kind of, just try and solve the issues. And that's what Andrew's doing right now.
Yeah, no, big up. No, I think you're totally right. And I think for me, I wonder how I would have felt if we had lost the Newcastle game and we had won earlier on. But I am going to drop this on you guys as well. I think the first thing is that Postecoglou has proven himself good, win, lose or draw, that he's a top manager. Because to have such a depleted team, we had 4 wing-backs at the back against Man City. The audacity, we had the same wing-backs against Aston Villa. And let's be real, we played Aston Villa off the park. We played West Ham off the park. We went toe-to-toe with Man City with a depleted squad. Shows that the Postecoglou way of football, the system is great. But I'm not going to lie, I had a rant after the West Ham game, and I'm on the fence on this kind of rant, and I just want to get your impression and your thoughts. I felt at times that we're guilty of overplaying. And for me, as much as I like the way that we're playing right now, this dominating the games, the possession, the creating of chances, I was getting rather pissed off that we're creating all these chances and it's really leading to nothing. And actually, sometimes, why can't we just do the right thing? Why can't we just minimize Arthur, you talk about he likes the risky game, but West Ham just bloody kept it simple. Hoof the ball out, kill it into the halfway line, and then let's try and see what we can do or hit Spurs on the counter. And again, I'm going to come to you maybe Arthur first on this. Would you say that maybe Postecoglou was a little bit naive in the way that we approached those games? Because for me, if we had lost the Newcastle game, I was coming on this show to say, what is the difference between Postecoglou and Conte? Conte did risk-adverse football. It gave us no results. Now we're doing gun-ho football and we've got no results. We got the win against Newcastle. I'm not holding my breath or starting to shake my bum violently any stretch of the imagination. But do you think maybe after the Newcastle game he's got it right, or there's something he needs to work on with the way that we're playing? And big up to you, Khalid Balogan in the house. But yes, go on.
I mean, the difference between now and then, whether we lost the Newcastle game or didn't even pick up a point with Man City, it's just a feeling, isn't it? Like, it's just a feeling. The difference at the moment, the difference isn't about points. At the moment, we can't be doing that. It's just too soon. It's just too early. We haven't even gone through a cycle of anything yet, and we haven't even come out of what is probably, that from memory for me, like one of the worst injury crises to our first team, like that I can remember, right? And yet the approach remains the same. So that's all you can do in a bit like that. He'll always go on about all you can do is control the controllables. Like you can't do anything about your players getting injured. You can't do, indirectly you can't do anything about your player losing his head and getting sent off. But what you can do is continue to have the same approach and positive mentality. The idea is that we're used to winning. That challenge, that these difficulties are just challenges, and that's the difference between him and Conte. Even if we hadn't got any points in the last few games, just because you can see the direction of travel, and it's a journey which is evolving and it's positive, and clearly the players enjoy it, clearly the fans enjoy it. So the differences cannot be looked at, in my view, at points or those sort of stats at the moment. I just don't think they can. It's just it's too stark a contrast. I don't think he was naive. I think what he said after the West Ham game, which was probably his most kind of terse sort of response to a match press conference. It was his most kind of harsh.
Yeah.
Was exactly what we all know, which is, the last thing he ever wants to be is seen as someone who's just interested in playing fancy football for the sake of it. He's a winner. He's won everywhere he's been. Whatever people talk about the levels, that's what he does. He's won everywhere and succeeded everywhere he's been. So clearly it's not just about playing fancy football. And I think it was a really well-expressed message at a really good time after West Ham, which was just saying, okay, yeah, so you think you can play this football, but that ain't enough. Playing it isn't enough. That last decision that you're talking about, Desh, that taking that final risk, you know, playing the fancy football and knocking it around the box, yeah, that's good and that's quick and it's lovely, but it doesn't do anything if you don't take that final risk. And they weren't doing that because they weren't being bold. They were just sort of hiding behind this fancy football that they were playing. And the way he came out and said it after West Ham was bang on, because look at what they did against Newcastle. It was completely exactly that. We played just as well with the ball as we were playing in those other games, but suddenly we were hitting the lines and we were at risk. And Son was beating Trippier, and Richie was getting in the box, and Udogie was getting in the box. Like, just that final bit. It's just a mentality, and I think we needed to go through those games in order to get to this point. I think that's pretty much every step of every dip we have now at the moment. So long as we're still behind Postecoglou, are just things that we have to go through in order to get better.
Yeah. Fair. Zeus, are you? You've heard Arthur. Are you of the same opinion, or?
Yeah.
Naivety there.
Yeah, like he has said there's going to be ups and downs, and he's also said we're very far offensively. He said we're far from implementing what he wants, even when we're winning. Like, we're ways away. I mean, some of it is personnel. I don't know if he wants Richarlison or not, but some of it might be personnel. But generally, I think the patterns of play that offensively he wants, that he hopes to drill into the side, they are not there yet. Even when we were winning, right? He's still saying there's the offense isn't clicking like I want it to. So we're still very far away. It got much closer to being solved with the Newcastle game.
Yeah.
But it's one transfer window. What is it? 6 months, or less than 6 months, 4 or 5 months, whatever, under a new manager. Still a ways to go. With Conte, I mean, counter-attacking football specialist, but the second season with him, I didn't see it. Like, there wasn't any idea of like I'm driving or working towards something or some kind of style or something like that. There was no goal based on watching and also his post-match comments. With this, it's like, yes, he's telling you literally, he's been telling you, I still want these guys to do certain things that they're not doing yet offensively. Yeah. So yeah.
The other thing is that since when did we have a manager that made so many effective changes in games, substitutes? Because it's quite lazy. I think a lot of the punditry around Spurs, everyone just talks about, Postecoglou is just an attacking manager. He only does one thing. He's tweaking the team throughout the match. We're playing in different ways within the same structure in all of our games.
Yeah.
Moving Sonny to the left and putting Richie in the middle. You know, Johnson's played across the front three. Yeah, Højbjerg has played in an 8 and a 6. We've had Emerson. It has been different in every game, and he doesn't get the credit for that. It's as though he's just like some kind of crazy lunatic. He says, "Go and enjoy yourself." It's not what it is. He's so much smarter than that, and I really part of me gets pissed off about people not acknowledging that, and the other part of me is really excited because people do not know what's coming. They don't know you can see that something really effective is being grown at this club, and he's completely on top of it. It's really exciting.
No, Arthur, you're on the money, because I was on the show the other day and I actually talked about the fact that Eddie Howe had not prepped Newcastle for the fact that Son could go back onto the left. Yeah. And actually, I thought it was a stroke of genius putting Son up against Trippier for 2 reasons. You know that Newcastle are a bunch of barbarians. They like the physical tussle. They're going to win the ball in the air. And Son isn't really about that life. So what you do is you bring in Richarlison, who likes to get roughed up, who likes a little bit of an argy-bargy and is going to go for the headers. And actually pulling that Son on the left created enough space for him, one, to take on Trippier, but also he's in acres of space now that he can be spreading balls, and I thought that was a stroke of genius. And my next question to you both is, in that vein, I kind of agree with you, because I wanted to talk about our new system, and it almost feels like this last 4 games has been a blessing and a curse, because in that now we're seeing some certainties in certain players. Who would have thought that Kulusevski is a bloody killer number 10? I guess that's what you were alluding to, Zeus, earlier about this kind of new system. But also, Pape Sarr. Should we be putting more respect on his name? Is there no coincidence that we start to win as soon as Pape Sarr is back in the team? So just talking about this new system, do you think this is the system that we should do going forward? And then lastly, I just want to throw it out there, Romero. So I'm going to come to you first, Zeus. Is Romero a liability for Spurs? Because for me, he pissed me off in the West Ham game. He almost got himself sent off. If he had got himself sent off, that would have been another 3-match ban. And I'm starting to get a bit fed up. A lot of Tottenham fans were having at me. How can you say that he's one of the best defenders in the league? But I'm starting to see that he's, for someone who's meant to be a vice captain, and by example, he's a bit too reckless for me. And I think Tottenham have every chance of doing the unthinkable this season. Unthinkable. Before the season started, we were talking about finishing in Europe or but if you think about it, for the games that Romero was missing, Aston Villa, like you all said, it was a winnable game. West Ham, winnable game. We could be top of the league. Do you know what I mean? We could be top of the league right now. So, Zeus, quickly, the new system, is this a system that can work going forward? And then, Kulusevski, is Pape Sarr the real deal? And also some comments around Romero. Is he too much of a liability for our club?
So with the new system, actually, Sarr, I think some of the post-match comments, like Kulusevski couldn't speak, say heap more words of praise on him. I don't know. I think Kulu has played there before, but I'm not sure who. Maybe Lo Celso was in there, but whatever. Sarr, I think he gives a confidence to, and he links up well with whoever's playing the number 10 role with Kulusevski. So we have our midfield is stacked. It's stacked. Like when Bentancur comes back, is he going to start? I don't know. We probably will maybe get rid of
sourcing though, Bentancur. He was bloody sourcing before that.
He was, but I mean, I preferably would like a bit more defensive steel. So I don't know if I want to take out Bissouma and have Bentancur. Like, I don't know. It seems like Sarr, based on what people the Newcastle game, after that, the post-game comments, he has to be there. I think when we were on our winning, when we're really, the beginning of the season, Sarr was one of the midfielders with Maddison and all those guys. So it seems like his place is solidified in this new system. And 100%, this is the way we should play. Depending on
as clearly as the number 10, you don't feel
who as the number 10.
Lo Celso's been doing a good job. Sorry,
not good enough. Not good enough. No. Lo Celso, let's all this. Let's stop this. Lo Celso is a good player. Like 2 goals, okay, not bad. But when he came, I thought this guy was going to be like an Eriksen type of replacement. But clearly, he's not as good. He's not that guy. So I would definitely say. Kulu in the 10. Now, who we have on the left is interchangeable, maybe between Son and Richarlison. Maybe Johnson. I don't know if Johnson can play there or not because he might be too focused on one side. But definitely Kulu at the number 10. Is Kulu at the number 10? Sarr in the middle of the park. And let's see what happens when Bentancur comes back, if he can win his place. I think that's what it's going to be like. But definitely Kulu at the number 10. No more. On the wing, it looks like he's been wasted these past few games.
Yeah.
With Romero, and as Arthur was pointing out, like he's getting a second red card results in a 4-match ban, which would just be catastrophic to a team that's pushing for something. So I think he needs to be stripped of, I don't know, like that's not leadership, right? Like what do you I always wonder with professional players, like why are you so aggressive, like trying to
why do you want to kill someone?
Exactly. Like I don't understand. When I play, I only go for a tackle when I'm sure I'm going to win the ball, right?
Yeah.
And these guys are just literally trying to kill. Like, man, that was insane what he did. And I think it looks like two attempts at the ball. Like if you look at it, it's like he almost kicked out twice, but I think he might have slipped or something. But still, it's not. It was horrendous, man, from someone, and needless. And I think it would have been maybe 4-1 or 4-2 at that point. But it's just not something you want to see from a leader consistently. I think he should be stripped off, and maybe someone like Poro should get he's been very steady over the much improved as well. Like, so I think maybe he can get the vice captaincy, and hopefully Romero can cool off or something.
Yeah, cool. Good point. I agree. Arthur, you've been chomping at the bit there. I could see you moving restlessly in your chair. Yeah, your thoughts on the system, and then obviously on Romero.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. Really, I mean, I think what's exciting is that this system has come from what we have, right? You know, we want Maddison to be fit. We want Van de Ven to be fit. You know, and we'd love Bentancur to be fit. So this system that we've struck upon has come from what we have, and I think it's probably reasonable to assume, as much as we hope it won't happen, probably before now in January we'll have more injuries. You know,
bloody hell.
Like some were knocking his back before the game against Newcastle. Richie's just coming back from being out and actually having surgery as well. So like, I think that we're probably going to have to adapt it again anyway, in some respect. And I think one benefit that's come from this like turmoil is what people have said before, is that a lot of more fringe players have now had a lot more minutes in our system. And so, you know, if Richie can't start a game, or if Son picks up a knock and we need to put Decky out back on the right side, then Lo Celso can come in, and he's not coming in from the cold. He's coming in having been properly involved, played some decent minutes, and be able to do something. And I think we might see, from what he was saying, it sounded like he felt pretty much solid on the fact that with Richarlison being fit and healthy, his best position is through the middle.
Yeah.
But I think we may see some rotation in that. And I don't know whether that means Richarlison rotating to the left or going to the bench. I think we might see Richarlison on the bench starting some games when he thinks that Sonny's better through the middle. Like Bournemouth at home, you know, Sonny, from memory, Sonny seems to score for fun against Bournemouth. So you'd stick him through the middle probably at home against Bournemouth, and you might have Johnson and Decky on the wings and Lo Celso in the middle, because it might not be such a competitive game. So I think what we have going forward, that's absolutely a system we should have. But it's good to know that we can adapt it. And as far as Sarr's concerned, like, to me, he was the difference against Newcastle. He was the player, more than any player, I think, we missed against West Ham. Obviously, we'd love a Maddison and we'd love a Van de Ven, but to some degree, we've adapted. It's not ideal, but we've adapted. We've found kind of workarounds. Davies has been doing a really solid job, and he was
big
great.
Up Davies, mate. He's been solid, mate. Last game. Yeah.
But what we haven't been able to replace, because we lost Bentancur as well, it's just that running, the legs, breaking the lines, constant running. And he's so good picking up the ball on the right side, freeing Kulusevski, Pedro Porro going on the outside. It's just like his presence was the total difference maker. I think he's one of the most important players to us at the moment now.
Yeah, I agree.
In the midfield. So absolutely he starts. And with Romero, I'm petrified. I'm terrified. Absolutely terrified. Because it feels inevitable, doesn't it? It feels inevitable that before Christmas, he's going to get into some ruckus. And what feels inevitable is that he'll get sent off, and it will be for a very soft red card that we don't agree with, but we find it hard to feel sorry for him, because he's got away with one. He's got away with more than one. I think he got away with one against Newcastle.
He did. But I went as far as to say on the Spurs talk show live that I would like to see Romero sold in January, and we bring in a Tapsoba, just somebody with a bit more calm, or even a Marquis.
That's wild, man.
I'm not there because
it's not, because, like Arthur's saying, if he gets sent off, I would go as far as to say the fallout from the Chelsea game was Romero's fault. I think if Romero kept his head, Udogie doesn't do what he does, and we win Chelsea, and maybe Van de Ven doesn't bloody get injured. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of things coming off the back of his wildness that's ended up costing us and costing where we are. And I'm not being funny, but this season is such an up in the air season that it's actually there for the taking, guys.
But we've got to be able to then, if we look at games and start thinking how something unraveled as the result of one person's actions, we've got to then start looking at where those players' actions have won us a game or saved us a loss in the final minute or led a team. The reality is what we know of Romero is that somehow for the first 11 games, was it, of the season?
Yeah.
It was something he didn't even pick up a foul. He didn't even commit a free kick. And there was a period last season when he was on his maximum number of yellows before getting suspended, and he had to go and play 8 games without picking up a booking. And he did. Yeah. It's there. He's able to do it. I think a big difference is him playing next to Van de Ven. Yeah. I think that makes a big difference, clearly. I just hope of all the people that it's going to be Postecoglou is going to be able to find a way of instilling. I don't really agree that the right way is to take the vice captaincy off him. I think Postecoglou would just be shining far too much light on him, and I think he'll be taking all the heat off him. He'll be hoping that he's self-learned. Do you know what I mean? Because he's not. Because we've got to lose that in his game without losing his game, and I haven't got a foggiest how you do that, because he is aggressive, and there's a real benefit of that when he doesn't cross the line. It's like really beneficial, and we've seen that. We just need more of that, but how you do that, I haven't got a foggiest.
No, I agree. I mean, like you said, I'm just petrified, and I don't want it to be a case of one player kind of lets the team down. But we'll see how it goes. Just picking up, Bayern Munich is 1-0 up. Thank you, the assembled, against that dusty Manchester United. I will say this though, the only thing
to go through, man.
Huh?
We want them to go through. We want that 5th coefficient place for Champions League.
I'm not going to lie to you. I hear what you're saying, but even though we were going through that route, I was thinking to myself, at least we're not Man United, because they are royally dusty. I mean, the way that these men are getting slapped up, it's a disgrace. And then obviously Arsenal, I think Arsenal's winning because we've just seen that Moss Sport is talking about champion group winners as well.
And they drew,
Yeah, they drew. So look, lastly,
sorry, Arthur, real quick question. If United don't go through, then the 5th place is done, like the 5 champions.
No, I don't know the specifics, and I don't know whether it's really clear, because I don't think we know how they do the points, but we know that we have a better chance of being awarded the 5th one if by the end of all European competitions this season, the Premier League or English British teams have a higher coefficient. So that's in the Conference League and the Europa League as well. So we just want people to go far down. We don't want anyone to win it. We just want to get them far, get players injured, struggle in the Premier League, get us to 5th place, then we're fine.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Okay. One more thing before we kind of look at the next round of games is, are we looking at maybe the best wing-back partnership in the Premier League right now in Udogie and Pedro Porro? I've coined it that I think, look, we had Danny Rose and Carl Walker, the good days, and for me, they were the best wing-backs in the league. I think Udogie and Pedro Porro could be Danny Rose and Carl Walker 5.0. Are they the best wing-backs in the league, Arthur?
Yeah. I think as a combination, yes. And the most exciting, the most promising. I mean, what I'm so excited about with both of them. But if you think about Porro, right, that has been seamless. He's just gone about his business, and suddenly he's a fucking player, man. He's a
techie man.
He's got so much technique. He's so strong. He even looks like a robot, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like he's got square jaw, kind of unbelievable physique, and he just never stops. And he's got quite a shot on him. And actually, I think we had Carl Walker and Danny Rose were at their prime. They were the best fullbacks in the league at that time, best combination. Yeah. But actually, we didn't have that long of Walker at his peak.
Yeah.
That was sort of the last year and a half with us, and then he went and lived his peak at Man City. Porro is already at the level that I think almost at the level that we had Kyle Walker at. I'm not saying he's as good as Kyle Walker yet. Kyle Walker went on and has been one of the best right backs ever to be in the Premier League for right. But in terms of what we had of Kyle Walker at Spurs, Porro isn't that far behind already. And so his ceiling has got to be really high. And Udogie is just like, I don't know what he is. Like he's
a bloody
he can
blessing.
play every position. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes you think like Steven Gerrard with players like this. You get players in some teams, usually they're midfielders or like number 10s, who you realise Harry Kane was one of these, Gerrard is one of these, who could actually play in any position in the outfield, and they would never be the worst player on the team. Yeah. That sort of player isn't usually a fullback, and that's definitely Udogie.
Yeah.
He's got touch, he's got strength, he's got speed. His decision making is really sound. He doesn't make many mistakes.
Yeah.
And he just is so positive. Yeah, absolutely. I'd say as a pairing, the best in the league.
He's got a bit of Alaba about him, isn't he, Udogie? Because Alaba was like that. They say he could. Pep was wax lyrical about Alaba, saying he could play anywhere. And you're right. But what I love about Udogie is that I can't help it, but I just love the physicality, the speed. You know that no one can run past him. You know that no one can outstrength him on the ball. You know he's got the technique. You know he can thread a ball. You know he can bloody shoot. I did think there was a moment in the Newcastle game or the West Ham game where he should just bloody shot and he just squared it. Like he should be a bit braver with taking more shots on goal. But boy, oh boy, it's a long day if you're trying to go down Porro's side or Udogie's side. And I have to we got to just big up Paratici, man, because that guy has done some. Do you know
what Udogie has and Sarr has as well, and other players do, but it really sticks out with them, is they look like they enjoy every aspect of their game. Like Udogie loves defending. He loves nicking the ball off a player in the defensive third. He loves running with the ball. He loves 1-2s. He obviously loves scoring. He scored with his head pre-season as well. So he's a threat in the air. Yeah. Like he just looks like he loves playing every kind of football. Not one of these sort of players who just wants to be on the wing and doesn't want to track back or just wants to do what they're good at. Him, Sarr, players like that, they just look like they really love playing football. And it's a proper joy.
Yeah. No, I think I think it's fair to say, even with the players out injured, we've got a good squad. People talked about whether we had strength and depth, but the mark of a good coach is their ability to take average players and really stretch every last bit of juice out of them. And the way that Ben Davies has turned into a stonewall defender these last 4 games. Ben Davies hasn't put a foot wrong, and for me, I think he deserves legendary status and a testimonial. What a professional, never moans. He's on the bench, sitting
also
there.
That touch, that defensive touch,
bloody hell,
take the ball away from Isaac. That was extraordinary defending.
Crazy. Well, everybody stepped up. Even Højbjerg stepped up. He's done a job. Lo Celso banging in 2 goals. I mean, bloody hell, these were players that a couple of months ago we didn't even want to see them on the pitch, and now people were like, "Rah, Lo Celso's not started against Newcastle." Like, how could that be? But I love the fact that Postecoglou has the bottle, and I think the only kind of factor that we know in the Wolves game was maybe the Eric Dyer effect. Maybe Eric Dyer just can't play the system, and I think that was clear because for the fact that Emerson Royale is having to play centre back with Eric Dyer in the squad just shows you how far in the pecking order that he is. But I love it. I love what he's done. I'm really optimistic.
Hang on. I want to say something though. Before crowning Porro and Udogie as the best fullbacks in the league. Is it fullback or wingback?
Yeah. Well, inverted wingbacks, isn't it? Inverted.
Yeah, wingback. I mean, and shout out to Jonas C. He said Porro has 3 goals and 8 assists in 30 Premier League games, which is
pretty good.
That's very good. Yeah, I think of like Ben Chilwell and Reece James at their peak when they're not injured. Like that's a pretty good defensive pairing on the
Yeah,
wings.
but I'm not sure better than our pairing. Reece James is deadly, but Chilwell doesn't do much for me. I think
Ooh, no. There was a point where he was just all offensive contributions. It was immense. So also Trent when he actually plays in there, and Robertson, like those guys have been
those two were crazy.
At peak, yeah, but I don't think they've really played. They've not been the fullbacks for a little while because he plays so much in the middle. But I think you're right. But the thing they have in common are the things that really good fullbacks nowadays these top teams have, which is that they don't just play fullback. And actually, it's been pointed out. It's pointed out by Pep after the Man City, or maybe even before Man City, when people were talking to him about the joke Postecoglou was making about just copying Pep.
Yeah.
And he pointed out that Pep's Ange's fullbacks, they come in far deeper and go and finish far higher than any fullbacks that Pep's ever managed. And he says that's not. He never has his inverted fullbacks finishing up there, spending so much time in like the number 10 position. He says it's crazy. It's like, that's completely his idea. We don't do that. And actually, not many teams do. Not even, I think Brighton do it a little bit, but it's quite different. So
Look, Postecoglou, I think it's fair to say Spurs fans he is the right man for the job, even more so than Pochettino. But we have to give Pochettino legendary status, because I knew that he wasn't going to let the Spurs fans down. I knew when he got the job at Chelsea that he was going in to do an inside man job. And the job he's doing at the moment at Chelsea is stopped short of remarkable, really. The amount of defeats that Chelsea keep suffering. Pochettino, you keep this form up at Chelsea Stamford Bridge, and in the event, in the distant future, 10, 15 years from now, after we won the Champions League at least 6 times, you've got a job at Spurs, mate. With the job
he must be pulling a fast one on them, because after the game, after the loss on the weekend, he said that what they need to be more successful is more players. He must be just like holding back laughter. He must be. He's just rinsing them their money.
Hang on, no. I mean, I think I know what he's saying, right? Like, I mean, so this is Todd Bowley coming in and splashing the cash and buying like a whole whack of players who they might be good players, but they're not probably right under Pochettino's system, right? And I want to believe that he's assessed and he's like, oh shoot, like we need this, we need that, and it's going to take another window to start, bringing in the players to solve their problems. But it's very worrying. Not worrying, but I think maybe this is what happens when you have too much money and you don't know what to do with it.
It's when you have no plan, isn't it? They don't have no plan. I'm sure we all know that Pochettino is a top coach. Like, I'm sure if he's at a club where they finally click everything around him and they follow his blueprint, then success will come. But you can't do that when you've just stepped in and they spent £1 billion on players in the last 18 months and you weren't even a manager. It's insane. It's really it's hard to know how that's going to happen.
So, my brothers, the panel, it's that moment now. Our next 4 games, we've had the highs. We're riding on the highs of the Newcastle result. Arthur's already laughing because he already knows what's coming. And this is what we're going to be doing. I want to make this a thing that every so often we do a blueprint and it's a run of games. So to end the year, we've got Nottingham Forest away this Friday, followed by Everton at home, away to Brighton. And then the high-flying Bournemouth. Bournemouth, under this manager, sourcing, they've got like 19 points. They're on level on points with Chelsea, guys. Don't underestimate what's going on in this Premier League. This season is crazy. Even the fact that Everton, really, but for the point deduction, would probably be about 8th or 7th. Sean Dyche, bravo to him, mate. He's doing an incredible job. So, Jonas has already kicked us off in the chat. 12 points. And he's saying that with chest. Jonas, I respect it, but I'm not so sure. Although I'm a little bit more optimistic than the last time. So, I'm thinking, Zeus, I'm going to go with you first and then Arthur. So Arthur gets to hear what you have to say before he gives his assessment. But the next 4 games, Richarlison's back. You know, there's no Madders. There's still no Van de Ven. These guys aren't coming back until mid-Jan.
Yeah.
We want to stay in the top 4 fight, hopefully. What are you saying from our beloved club over the next 4 games?
Well, Everton is going to be a tough game. Like, that is a tough game. They're with the 10-point deduction, they're reborn, rejuvenated, whatever you want to say. So that is a potential. That one, I don't expect 3 maximum points in that game. But for the entire run, I want to say 8 points. 8 out of a potential 12, and I'll be all right. Yeah, we're where we need to be.
So 8 points. Wins where? Draws where?
Forest win. Brighton win. Everton and Bournemouth draws.
Everton and Bournemouth draw. Both the home games draws.
Yeah.
Wow. Zeus, are you mate, Mr. I'm so thing. The assembled is said those fixtures look like 12 points, but he wouldn't be surprised if we got 7 points.
Yeah, it's the Premier League, man. It's like it's an insane league. Like, you can't. I can't remember the time anyone was like, "Oh, we're gonna win all these games," and we actually. Any team was just like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna win these," and I don't think it's ever happened. So there's gonna be a potential banana skin. So I'm gonna go with 8.
8 points.
Yeah.
Arthur, please break it down for us. You remember your last performance, mate?
Yeah. To be honest, like. I was 1 win away from being right. In the last
well, if we had won the West Ham game, you would have been right. To be fair, you know.
Yeah. And if we hadn't got that equaliser against City, you would have been right. So you know. No, I'm gonna rethink as I'm speaking, because I was leaning towards almost exactly the same as what Zeus says. I was going for 8 points, but I was gonna have our draws at home to Everton and away at Brighton. But I'm going to change it up because, do you know what? I think I'm actually pretty nervous about Forest at Friday night.
Yeah.
I think, when we do these predictions, and we often get like, well, not often, we've only done it twice, but one sometimes gets the points right, but the place of the points wrong. Like obviously last time, none of us really predicted a result at City. That was a real shock. And I feel like in any group of like 4 games, there's a shock, there's a surprising one there. And actually, I think we're going to draw.
Don't say it. No!
I think we're going to draw at Forest. And then I think we're going to get 9 points. No, we're going to get
7.
No, we're going to get 8 points. We're going to draw at Forest. We're going to draw at Brighton, but we're going to beat Everton and Bournemouth.
So we're gonna draw at Forest,
draw at Brighton, beat Everton and Bournemouth.
Okay, so the opposite of Zeus. Yeah. Zeus has got the 2 home games.
I'm trying to be pragmatic because everyone goes on about how Spurs and everything Spursy needs to be a bit more pragmatic these days. Like my heart tells me we can get 10. My heart tells me that we can draw one and win 3. I don't see why we can't do that. Yeah. But I would also be content on the whole as a big picture with 8 points from those games, especially if we haven't lost.
And 8 points, does that keep us in and around the top 4?
Yeah, it will do. It will do, because teams are going to drop points. Like we've seen it. Like I don't think this is, unless we go and lose these 4 games, I don't think this is going to be defining. If we can go through these games without losing and get 8 points, and then we're going into January when we're getting some players back, that's the whole thing. If we can keep in it when we get players back, that's when we can have a good run. Everyone else tired of all the cup competitions in Europe or whatever, and we're just on the home straight.
Yeah. Khaled Balogun, I think, is trolling us at the moment because he's got Spurs to lose all 4. Khaled Balogun, if Spurs have to lose all 4 games, I will ban you on Instagram, Twitter, and on these streams moving forward as some sort of bad luck to my beloved club. As you guys were speaking, I like you, Arthur, was feeling that Tottenham could get 10 points out of this. We've absolutely outplayed everybody. Even if you remember the second half against City, we bloody boxed those guys clean. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, they got slapped up by a patched up team. Sauer's back now. Remember, Sauer didn't play the City game. Richarlison didn't play the City game. These are big additions. I will say also, I don't ever want to see Brennan Johnson on the left-hand side ever again. I think his best position is on the right, and that's something that we need to accommodate for. I'm going to go out on a limb here, guys. I don't know if I'm still shaking my bum violently from the Newcastle result. I'm about to do it. I can't believe it. I think Tottenham get 12 points.
12?
I think we get all 12. I think we slap up Nottingham Forest away. That Nottingham Forest team is dusty, man. I know what you're saying, but Serge
City
Aurier,
ground, man. City ground Friday night.
Serge Aurier is a madman. He's probably going to bring Son down. It's going to be a penalty, bowling. The one thing about Nottingham Forest is they're physical, but not as physical as Newcastle. And the way that we handled the physicality of Newcastle on Sunday has actually lifted my spirit to say we can handle the physicality.
Let's not forget that they were knackered. They were not good. They were poor.
They were poor. But who have they got apart from Kieran Gibbs? They got our knee. Nah, they're dusty, to be honest. For me, Nottingham Forest is a dusty team. Everton is our whipping boys, guys. Don't ever forget it. We slap them up. Come rain, come sunshine. I know it's Sean Dice football. I'm not saying we're going to walk away with a 3-0. It will probably be a tight 1-0, but I can see Spurs getting... And also because when you've got Pickford in goal, it's long for you. That the amount of howlers that this guy has let in over his career, he won't be looking back at his games with any fondness. So I think we get a win. I think we slap up Brighton, you know. We go toe-to-toe with Brighton. I think we slap them up. I don't see... Mitoma's not going nowhere near Porro. Who have they got on the other side? Andringa or Atsu, I think he's injured now. Ferguson ain't doing jack. Nah. I think Romero will be too much for him. I think we slap up Brighton. And
as long as Romero is suspended.
Who?
As long as Romero is not suspended.
Yeah, as long as Romero is not suspended.
2 lots of 90+ minutes to get through without getting a red card.
Yeah, I'm going minimum 10 points for Spurs, maximum 12. I'm going with 12 points. I really think we can do it. I think they've played enough football, and also as long as we don't get any injuries, because I think Arthur, you were saying you can still see more. We can't afford for more. In fact, I think hopefully in terms of the injury situation that we've turned the corner. We should be expecting. I mean, the interesting thing is that Madders gave the impression that he's pretty much fit. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that we get Madders sooner rather than later. People are talking about towards the end of Jan, but I think Madders comes back in early Jan. I think he comes in first week of Jan. Don't be surprised if Madders is even on the squad team sheet.
No, about that, I think he actually said he's not healing properly. So
is that what he said, or he said he's cooking slow or something?
Something like it wasn't positive. I think it's looking more at February.
Jeez, I'm saying that. That's dirty. Okay, well, I'm hoping that isn't the case. But yeah, I'm going with 12 points. Big up Longhead Jetty. Longhead Jetty is a Nottingham Forest fan. Look, I hope to do a preview with you tomorrow so we can slap things up. But yeah, Longhead Jetty, big up to you. Champions League games are over. So yeah, so just to clarify, Zeus is going with 8 points. Arthur is going with 8 points. And I'm going with 12. Be good to get your thoughts in the chat, peeps. Quickly put it in there. Jonas has said with chest 12 points. Let's see a couple of others before we land. Final comments really before we go. Are you still thinking we can get top 5, Arthur?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely. There's nothing that I've seen in the last few weeks that says that we're not going to, because I don't think that the performances we're putting in, we're going to continue to return such poor results. I think, like, I genuinely think that, like, this is what learning is, right? This is all part of the process. I genuinely think that this period now that we've got through is going to serve us better in the latter part of the season, when we're getting more energy, when other teams around us are playing cup games, European games, whatever, they're picking up injuries, and we've got a whole squad of players who have now played minutes in Ange's system, all of whom, bar maybe a couple, maybe like Højbjerg and Lo Celso, who would maybe open to going elsewhere because they probably don't see themselves as long-term solutions. Everyone wants to play. Everyone wants to be part of it. And so I'm kind of grateful for this period. I didn't ever honestly think we were going to win the league. I didn't think that was, in a way, that wasn't really. I'm never going to say I don't want to win the league, but that wasn't really part of the realistic picture. We want like sustained growth. We want to get there in the proper way. And so having this period now and getting through it, because by getting through it doesn't mean we're not going to lose some games. Of course we are. But by getting through it in the sense that we've held our own in these matches and we've got a point at Man City and we've thrashed Newcastle and we look good, like that is completely going to make the rest of the season, especially after Christmas when we get players back, it's just going to put us in really good stead. So I absolutely think we're going to get top five. I think it might be top four. I'd take suggestion we might get fourth. Yeah.
Fantastic. And do you think? Sorry, Arthur. Just quickly, do you think? Do we still need to strengthen in Jan, or do you think we can hold on with what we got? Because
I think we need to strengthen.
Haven't done bad.
I think we need to strengthen in Jan. I think we haven't done bad in the sense that our makeshift defense has kind of got us through, but that is a fine line there. If one of them picked up a nick, we weren't that far away from Højbjerg playing centre back. You know what I mean? That's not a place that we can be in for any length of time, right? So I feel like there has to be some strengthening in January. But like I said on one of the other shows, I still don't think our plan changes. I still don't think we deviate from the plan unless we pick up more injuries. In fact, Postecoglou said exactly the same thing. He said, look, January plans are in place. We stick to that. If something happens, look, we've got all these injuries. We're sitting here now assuming that, no, we don't get any more injuries. But if we do, we may have to take a different kind of decision in January to get short-term cover, to get a loan in or something. But on the whole, I don't think we need to move away from the plan. And I'm pretty sure the plan was always to try and bring in another centre-back. And I don't think it's going to be a centre-back that any of us have ever heard of. I think it's going to be a Postecoglou special from South America or something like that. A young person that can step in and do a job. And I kind of expect that to be the case. And I sort of look forward to that more than anything else.
Well, it's that time of the year, and I love surprises. So Postecoglou surprise us away. Zeus, have you You were talking about eighth, I think, before. Even though we got 4 points, it was an impressive 4 points, if you want to put it that way. It was kind of ironic to say, but we've tried given the circumstances. Are you a bit more optimistic now? Can you pump your chest a little bit for your club?
Yeah. I mean, he's exceeded expectations immensely, but I don't know. I don't want to put too much pressure on myself. We need to, we're deaf bang on for Europe. I mean, chances are Europe is nailed on, right? Been through an injury crisis. The manager is able to switch things up on the fly and make us very competitive in every game. I can't remember. Has there been any game where we were outplayed? Yeah, we were down. We weren't outplayed. We almost got something out of that game, the Chelsea game. So it's the guy, to me, is just so impressive. First season, and he's probably this Premier League thing is a joke, mate. It's not. What's all the fuss about? You know what I mean? Europe looks destined. It looks bang on to get there. Definitely, we need an upgrade not upgrade, but we need another center back off the bench that just have more depth. We just need another person that can assure.
Is it the left side or the right side? Sorry.
Maybe a right side, because you never know. Romero could.
He's a bad man.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It might be a right-sided center back, just based on how the potential of Romero to miss games. So there's that, and also I guess the urgency to replace Madison has gone. To my in my eyes, like it looks like Kulusevski can slot in there no problem. So
Sourcing.
it's incredible that we have that. Oh, we need a Madison replacement. We need one. And then Kulusevski, and he actually said, "I felt alive when I was playing in the number 10." Like that, that's just
he looked alive because
Yeah.
he must get that right side. Yeah.
So 100%. But I think we need a left-sided midfielder that can also play as a number 9 and can be an upgrade from Richarlison. Granted, after Richarlison's surgery, he claims that well, maybe not him, but journalists have said he could barely kick a ball, and that's why all of his goals pretty much came from his head. So now that he's done the surgery, he could be set to go on a crazy run of goals. But something that's a bit more.
My guy, I kept the faith. Just so you know,
you kept the faith. Yes, you did. I still don't. The second goal he scored, I still think he would have done. He was, he took a touch and then he managed to slot it in. But I think a better striker would have been able to hit that one time, like with his head or something.
Hey, calm yourself down, man.
Still not bang on. But someone who can play as a striker or on the left side. Now Perisic is done for the season. I guess it would be the Perisic replacement, but also. A lot of people are saying Solomon is not that guy. I don't know if I don't know. I haven't seen enough of him to actually have
He's got no pace. He's got no pace, man.
He's got pace?
He hasn't got pace.
He doesn't got pace? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, that's still yeah. So maybe 2 players in January. A center back, right. I'm kind of indifferent, to be honest. It doesn't have to be a right-sided, right left, just another center back, a center back specialist, and then a left-sided winger or someone who can play a strike. Someone who I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, to be honest. But having that duality would be awesome.
Okay.
I guess that'll be a replacement for Perisic.
Yeah, and Solomon to be. Well, I think Son is better than both of them. To be honest, I don't even know why we're even playing Perisic, or they don't start even if they.
No, I think Perisic would have been hugely impactful for us in the last 15-20 of games. Yeah. He no one crosses the ball as well as him from a standing position. No one does,
and he's a winner.
And he's a winger. I think it's going to be really interesting what happens with Richarlison now. I think those 12 points that you predicted that we might get, Dej, I think a lot of it is down to whether this is a turning point for Richarlison, like an actual one. If I'm completely honest, like watching it in the stadium, which I have done, all season, he genuinely looked like he was moving different. I don't know whether it was against Newcastle. He looked like he was. When he wasn't getting so visibly frustrated with himself when he was running after balls he didn't get or going in for challenges he didn't win. He wasn't so angry with himself. There was something about his freedom of that, which is exactly when he's completely fit. He's exactly the sort of player Postecoglou wants in that position, who just runs and runs and runs. Doesn't touch the ball that much in a game. Son did that a few times. Yeah. And now, if he can turn that into goals, we're going to be relying on him. I would look at that. I would see how that develops before giving him competition for his place any more than he already has, because I don't think he'll start through the middle every game. I think Son will sometimes, and when Son does, I think he'll more often start on the bench, and it will be someone else on the left.
Yeah.
Sorry, Arthur. You said you go to most of the games, like you go to the stadium.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Shit.
Yeah. I'm lucky. I'm 15 minutes walk to my seat.
Wow.
Over the park.
Awesome. VIP section, box seats, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I wish. No, I'm in the south stand. In the single tier.
Okay. Money bags, Arthur. Jeez.
Make sure you sort us out some tickets. I'm trying to get some tickets myself. I might actually be going to the Tottenham Hotspur women's match this weekend, but I need to sort out my tickets first. All right, look, we've got to go now because we've run over time. But for the last 3 minutes, I just want to talk on this factor. I've had a lot of Villa fans on this channel shake their bum violently, and it's pissing me off, to be honest with you, quite frankly. I just want to find out from you both, is Villa the real deal? Gary Neville seems to think Villa is the real deal. Now, if these guys are shaking their bum violently for Aston Villa, then they need to be putting some respect on our club's name, because really and truly, despite all the turmoil that we've been through, the fact that Arsenal are having an impressive season, we're only 6 points behind Arsenal, guys. Like, it's not that bad. So what I'm trying to say is Villa the real deal? And should people be putting even more respect on our club? And then we'll close it there. And I'm going to start with you, Arthur, finish with you, Zeus, and then we will end.
I think Villa are the real deal. I don't think the real deal means they're going to compete for the league. I think they're the real deal. I think when you look at the last two performances, they were different victories. Like it's Man City and Arsenal. They just played in a different way. He's a really smart manager. He manages the games really well. They're a step further down their kind of project than we are. So they're a bit more mature in terms of playing their manager's system. It's a bit more structured and a little bit less chaotic than ours. So I don't think that the direct comparison is fair in terms of the journey on the project.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're the real deal. I think they could be in the same way that they could get an injury crisis like we've had, and they would struggle. But I think they are, along with us, they're competing for that 4th and 5th. I think. I feel like Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool to me feel like most likely be top 3. 4th, 5th, and 6th. I think Spurs, Villa, someone else. I don't think United.
No, let's not talk about United. United that finished bottom of their Europa League group. And I say Europa League because that was the quality of team. Bloody Galatasaray and whoever else, Copenhagen. How they got finished bottom of a group that had Galatasaray and Copenhagen? That team is dusty. I did a show when I was in Madrid May last year before Eric Ten Hag got the job, and I said he won't last 18 months. If he's not in the job on January, it means I was bloody right. May 2022, I'm going to get that vid and I'm going to post it because I knew that this Eric Ten Hag was dusty. But anyway, we'll talk about United on another show. Zeus, Villa, are they the real deal? Can they win the league? Could they do a Leicester in disguise?
I mean, I don't think so. Like they're in Europe, right? They're in Conference League or something. I think Leicester didn't have any European commitments during that season, so I think that limits the ceiling of reaching Leicester. So, I think that's going to hamper them. First time thereabouts. Depending how far, maybe depending how seriously they take Europa. Maybe Emery sees that maybe there's a chance in the league and maybe starts playing that. But as far as they're in 2 competitions, I think it takes a while to be able to kind of manage both. Well, with that said, Emery is a boss. Like the guy is confirmed. Like if you guys, Nigerian words or whatever, like confirmed, that's one you can feel free to use that. But like the guy's good. Like I don't know why Arsenal kind of, gave up a little bit early on him. But this guy's good. Like there's no doubt about it. All the results he had with Sevilla and all that. Like look at Villa. I mean, Gerrard was in there. You changed the manager.
Pretty much the same team.
This guy is phenomenal, right? Like he's just a great manager. Like there's no doubt about it. The only issue with Villa is it's the first go at it, and I always believe there's always there's a process to these things, but definitely challenging for Champions League spot. Winning, no. And they haven't had any major injuries, which I think these things tend to even out. So, they're going to be thereabouts. But Emery is like definitely. I think the manager of it's tough, man. Emery, Postecoglou. I guess it's one of those two. You'll go for like manager of the season. Like just 100%. Very impressive stuff.
I agree. Well, there you have it, everybody. Spurs fans near and far. Rival fans near and far. We have given you the blueprint for Spurs the next 4 games. We got it right. Well, Zeus got it right, so he's top of the table right now. Hopefully, one of us will get it right. 8 or 12 points is a respectable return, in my opinion. Anything less than that is a bloody disgrace. And actually, not a disgrace, but it would be a shame. It would be a shame if we couldn't get at least 8 points, because for me, I'm not being funny, but top 4 is there for the taking, in my opinion. Nobody has blown me away. Liverpool hasn't blown me away. Bloody Man City almost bloody lost to bloody Luton on the weekend. Do you know what I mean? Like in the turmoil and the chaos, and Tottenham rise like a phoenix and actually surprise the rest of the league. That's what we are hoping for. Merry Christmas, because the next blueprint will be in January after the 4 games, where we will be confirming and celebrating with a bottle of champers that Spurs have got maximum points for those 4 games. Thank you very much, everybody. Tomorrow on the show, I will be joined by Longhead Yeti, Nottingham Forest fan, where I'll just be putting him to the sword and basically making sure that he has no hope for the game on Friday. No hope, and no hope. So he'll be well beaten tomorrow, and then he'll be well beaten on Friday. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and good night.
Dano, yeah, yeah. Dano, yeah. Dano, yeah. Dano, it's a vibe. Dano, it's a vibe. Dano, yeah. Dano, it's a vibe. Dano.